So me and my business partner Pedro were able to sell over $250,000 worth of marketing agency services for our own roofing marketing agency. And if you can't sell your own services, you will never be able to grow your business and you're going to be broke forever. And the most important part of the sale when you're selling agency services is the objection handling. If you can't handle the objections that people have after you pitch them, you'll never be able to take their card and change their lives and make tons of money with your agency. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact objection handling process that we use to be able to overcome objections that come out and turn them into closed deals. So I'm going to show you exactly in my Google Doc right now. Awesome. So let's walk through exactly how to handle objections in your marketing agency. Now, what you guys got to realize is that handling objections in your ability is the one thing stopping you from growing and building your agency. If you can't handle objections, literally, you're never going to be able to do anything, right? Sales makes the world go round. If you can't sell, you'll never be able to grow your business. Now, a lot of agency owners are afraid of this section because they deep down, they're deathly afraid of confrontation. Really, at its core, people have a lot of trouble with sales because they're afraid of confrontation and they're afraid of hearing the word no. And usually that comes down to things that happened in your past, in your childhood, and basically preconceived notions that you have. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into that, but really at the end of the day, people don't want to be seen as pushy, slimy, or untrustworthy. And that makes sense, right? No one wants to be seen as like a sleazy car salesman, right? Who just rips people off. However, the one thing that most agency owners don't understand is that if you handle the objection in the correct way, it will never be seen in a bad light. You have to understand that a lot of times in life, how you say something is way more important than what you say. Now, like I said, we're able to sell over $250,000 worth of agency services without our prospects having to think that we're trying to force them to buy from us. We're trying to twist their arm or do some weird like jujitsu to get them to buy. Like you don't want to do all that crazy stuff, right? You just want to make sure that you have the right frameworks. So in this video, I'm going to explain exactly how we handle objections correctly so that both you and your prospects leave the deal feeling like you've won, right? And you want us both to win, right? You want to win when it comes to making money, and you want them to win when it comes to changing their life and their business, right? But before we actually hop into the objection handling, there's a framework and a baseline you need to understand, and we need to understand the concept of a smoke screen and a real objection, right? If you've never heard of smoke screens, basically what they are is it's not a real objection. A smokescreen is something people say on the call just to get out of the situation. So a lot of times you may be on a call, or even yourself, you're getting sold to, and you just say anything you want to get off the call, right? For example, let's say you're walking through the the mall and you see those people who sell perfumes in the middle and they want to give you a sample. A lot of times you may say whatever you need to just to get out of the situation, right? You may lie, you may just say no, you may walk faster, but basically you do whatever you can just to get out of the situation, right? Now, the thing is, a lot of times smoke screens don't directly explore or explain how they feel. They're just uncomfortable and will say anything to get off the call and not buy. So don't take it as offensive or think that people are malicious liars, because the fact is people are really just either too nice to be direct to you and say they don't want it, or they're too scared to make a decision, right? So when a smoke screen comes out, you have to be able to topple it and go over it to understand and really dive deep into figuring out exactly why they're saying no or why they're in a certain situation. But the funny thing is that the exact reason that they're on the call today is the exact reason that they need your services. So if someone, for example, says they want to think about it, usually it's because they're a procrastinator, they're someone who doesn't take action fast enough. So you need to actually use that and flip it on them, right? And I'll show you exactly kind of the framework that we use. Now in this video, I won't be diving into smoke screen specifically, but it's really good to understand the difference so you can kind of tell, right? Now here is our objection handling framework, and I'm going to zoom in a bit just so you guys can see what it looks like. So it's a very simple framework. So when the objection comes, we acknowledge it. We acknowledge that it exists. Then we redirect, right? Redirect the conversation to where we want it to be. We have them gain certainty, right? So we want them to be certain in our product. And then we inquire more. So we figure out, okay, after they, are really believing in our product, we dive deeper into the objection, right? So whenever an objection comes up, you never really want to ask specifically about it right away, right? You want to control what the prospect is thinking about and redirect the conversation in a way that is smooth, right? It's kind of like talking to girls a bit. So for example, if someone says, I need to think about it, you never want to immediately say, well, what do you need to think about, right? Like you never want to hop on that because that just seems too direct. And it's not really a way to gain leverage in the call or the sale, because at the end of the day, they're going to keep thinking about what they need to think about, and they're not going to be thinking about your product and your program and the benefits. So you want to redirect the conversation to focus on the benefits of the program and the pain that they will feel if they don't buy your program. That's exactly why people buy, because remember, sales is all about pain and confidence, right? The prospect needs to be in pain, and they need to know that your system is a solution that they need to fix that pain. If they don't think your product is good enough for the solution, they'll never buy from you. And if they're not in real pain and hate their lives and their situation, they'll never buy either, right? So here's an example of how you can handle the I need to think about it objection. So this is the exact framework that we use. You guys can just literally copy and paste this. So when they say I need to think about it, you can say, sure, no worries, Mr. Prospect. Putting that aside though, like, do you think that what we have to offer here can really help you reach your goals? Right? Now, after this, they should say yes, right? If they're unsure about the specific answer, then we dive deeper and ask them why they're unsure. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes to this. And then you're going to say, okay, perfect. And why would you say that, right? We want to actually dive them in and make them say why they think our product is good. So after they say that, you say, awesome, that sounds good. So with all that in mind, what would you say is causing you to hesitate? Right? So that's basically the flip. So first what we did, as you can see here in the framework, the objection came, which is I need to think about it. Then we acknowledged it. We said, yeah, sure, no worries. I understand that, right? We acknowledged it. We really understood that it's a concern that they have. Then after we do that, we redirect the conversation. So we always say, putting that aside though, putting the objection or the mindset or whatever you have aside, do you think what we offer here can really help you reach your goals, right? So we redirect and we gain certainty. So we want them to be certain that our product is good and they believe that, right? So they say yes, and we gain even more certainty. We say, why would you say that? Why do you think our product is good? Right? After they say that and they explain why their product is good, then you can kind of dive in and figure out what the real issue is and peel back the layers. So it's a very, very simple framework here, right? Now, I would say if you want our exact script that helps us close over $250,000 worth of agency services and you want access to the specific document, then click the link below and book a call with us so we can talk more about your situation, figure out what you're doing with your agency, and see if we can help, right? Now, let me give you another common objection that a lot of people like to use on the call and how to handle it, right? So another common objection that everyone has is, I need to talk to my wife/business partner about this. Now, I say when it comes to objections, the best way to handle an objection is to not have one at all, right? So what you want to do is you want to be able to prevent the objection from ever happening in the first place. So when things like this happen, I always recommend to prevent this is to make sure that they confirm that all the decision makers will be present on the call. If you're on the call and you're not 100% certain that they can make a decision today, then you shouldn't actually go through with the call. Make sure every single person is 100% ready to go. All right, so let's talk about the rebuttal for the smokescreen. So it says, I totally understand, John. Let me ask you this. Is it because you're really ready to move forward with doing this and just want to get signed off, or you're having some doubts? Right? So that's a great way to get over the smokescreen to see if they're really, really serious about this or if they're just saying whatever so they just get off the call. Now, if they say something like, oh, like my wife is okay with it, I just have some doubts, then we can move forward with this objection handling here where it says, totally understand that, John. I'm with you all the way. If your wife or business partner was here and she would say yes, would this be the answer for you? Right? So we want to make sure they understand that in the great scenario, would they actually move forward with this? They'll probably say yes, and you say, okay, why do you say that? And we reframe again. We reframe them to understand and explain why our product is amazing, right? So in that situation, once they say yes and explain, I would highly recommend you just book in another call with their wife or business partner available, right? I would say that because at the end of the day, if someone's there and they really, really need a business partner to make a decision, then it's going to be very, very hard to close them, and it's going to be an uphill battle. So I just suggest to reschedule with another call. Awesome. So let's talk about rebuttal for genuine objection part 2. So here, what we like to do sometimes is take a small deposit just to make sure they're serious. So we say, hey, I totally understand, John. I'm with you all the way. I wouldn't dream of making a decision without my business partner or wife as well. So here we talk about, I'm happy to chat through it with the both of you, but to hold your spot, I will need a commitment on your end. Would you be happy to pay a refundable deposit of $500 and schedule a follow-up call with your business partner? And if the outcome is negative, I'll refund that money. Right? So at that point, that's basically the last resort, because if someone is genuinely serious about this and they just need a confirmation from their wife or whatever, you don't want to miss that, and you don't want to schedule another call without some commitment, because what happens all the time, I'm sure you guys know, is you can schedule a call with somebody and then do a follow-up call and then they just ghost you. That happens all the time. So we just want to be upfront and transparent, not waste people's time, and just say, hey, look, if you want, awesome, put some money down. If not, totally fine there, right? Now we have an entire sheet explaining every single objection that we handle. And if you guys want that, like I said, hop on a call with us below and we'll talk more about how we can get you that and work with you. But guys, I hope this system and this framework gave you a lot of value, of course. I love making these videos like I always say. And I'll see you guys in the next one.